What's up, everybody? Welcome to tonight's episode of the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, the Tutorial Boss Guapo. With me, as always, the one and only Mike Caldwell, and this gentleman right here, the one, the only, the Tribal Prince, Baby Samoa. Guys, what's up?
How's it going, man?
What's good, Oos?
Yeah, it's all good. It's Thursday night. It's the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast. It's going to be good times. Before we get started, I do want to throw a few thank yous out there. I want to say thank you to Labor 12 for our intro-outro music. Track's called Head Rush. Album's called Monsters. They got a new album they're working on right now. You can go check that out and find out everything they got going on at labor12.com. That's laborxii.com. I want to say thank you to American Legacy for our Not Your Average merch. Got the hats, got the beanies, getting the bandanas. We got all sorts of good stuff. I want to say thank you to my boy Cameron, J-Reb there in the chat. See this little piece of awesomeness right here? That is a J-Reb's 3D printing original that he did for us. If you've got a logo that you'd like in a light box like that, hit him up, jrebs3dprinting.com. I want to say thank you to heckyeahradio.com. If you happen to miss an episode of the show, first off, shame on you for missing an episode of the show. But if you do, go to heckyeahradio.com and click on the Not Your Average Mark button. You can catch an audio version. You can also find us in the I forgot what it's called now. It's wrestlingcenter.com, their podcast room. You can find us there. And of course, you can find us at our awesome website that the guy put together, notyouraveragemark.com. If you haven't checked it out yet, after the show, go check it out. We've got our bios. You can get merch. You can find out what we've got coming up. All sorts of good stuff, notyouraveragemark.com. All right, now that we got all of that out of the way, first off, Baby Samoa, thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight. I've been trying to get you on for a minute, man.
Oh, I know it's been it's been an up and down roller coaster, but we finally got it in, man. So we're doing it.
Here we are. So first things first, anybody that follows you, especially through Squared Circle Pro, knows you've had the foot injury going on. How's the rehab going? How's the foot doing?
It's coming along great. It's something that I didn't want to rush. I wanted to see to it that I could, perform at a high level, and Rick was pretty understanding about that, and where the rehab is coming good and the foot's getting stronger. So, SCP, look out. A healthy Baby Samoa is a dangerous one.
An injured Baby Samoa is a dangerous one, as we found out at the last show.
Well, yeah, I guess you could call that, but I was also attacked too, very cowardly. But I was a handicapped person at the time, and somebody just took advantage of a handicapped person. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get to what happened there and what the fallout from that's going to be. Before we do, for some of our viewers, some of our listeners that may not have had the opportunity to see you wrestle, let's get kind of an idea of how you got into this crazy business. How did you get your start in wrestling?
Got my start by knowing a friend of a friend that was already in the business, and he pretty much, I just asked him for a tryout and what it took to go try out, and I figured it was going to be maybe some sort of a long process, or maybe we'll get back to you when we get back to you, but no, I was notified the very next day by my friend, and I had a tryout the very next, the very first Tuesday that came along. So,
wow.
Yeah.
All right. Now, through that, who are, of course, being Baby Samoa, you are the Tribal Prince. I think I can take a couple of guesses in this, but who would you say are your influences in wrestling?
Right now it's probably Samoa Joe. Just off the bat, just somebody who just has a demeanor and doesn't have to say very much, and yet says so much by saying so little. And I wouldn't, I wouldn't be me if I didn't say I wasn't a fan of, the Bloodline and what those guys are doing. and so forth, and just I try to follow every wrestler that has Polynesian descent, um, and try to support them in any way by watching their matches, uh, trying to be a sponge and learn on how they do things, ring presence, um, psychology, everything that comes with it.
And I can definitely see the, and I'm going to call it the bloodline, but it goes a lot farther than the bloodline you see on television right now. But I can definitely see the influence from them in you when you wrestle, the way you carry yourself, the way your in ring works. You can definitely tell the influence from that. Um, the first time I actually got to see you wrestle was in a tag team match, and you were tagging with Brian Rage Rivera. You guys were Island Rage. How did that come to be?
Island Rage just it was put together by Rick. Um, Rick, of course, checked in with both of us, see how we thought about it, and you know, I was on board. Brian Rage, as much as I hate him, I do got to give him his flowers. Uh, he's been in the business for quite a while. He's got 10 plus, maybe even more years experience in the ring. He knows his stuff, and to be partnered up with somebody of that level, all I saw was good things on the horizon for myself. Just a chance to learn and a chance to you know up my game. So
Well, and you guys were a great tag team, very cohesive in the ring, and definitely a force to be reckoned with. Now, Mike, I want to ask you a question from a promoter's standpoint. What do you see when you're looking at, okay, I need to get a tag team match on this, and you see a tag team like Island Rage?
Well, I have used Island Rage in some of my BCW Texas shows. Um, Basically, um, the way I see it is you you want somebody that's going to that's going to have going to be able to interact well with the fans. Two, you got some you're going to have somebody that is a believable look for opponents. And honestly, with Rage's experience and Samoa's size and power, it was a really good vibe, really good connection with the two of them, and both of them really related to the fans at that point.
No, I definitely agree with that. And this is kind of touching on what may be a sore subject, but uh, the falling out between you two. Uh, Run us through that. What happened there?
the falling out with me and Brian pretty much consists of the fact that I trusted him. I trusted him with my career. I trusted, his. I drank his Kool Aid. You know, he was like, "Hey, baby Samoa, let's make a tag team. We'll make magic. We'll get gold." And in the end, he's the one that got gold. And when it came that way, I was like, "Well, where's my gold at?" So, in the end, I he's the one that got gold. I had to literally earn my way into a title shot by going through five or six other wrestlers, I believe, in a gauntlet match. So the fact that you know we're giving out participation awards in Pro Wrestling 101 now, uh, just just eats me up. I never got a certificate. I never got a graduation party. My graduation party, my certificate was a debut match with Grande, who I believe Mr. Mikey here is very familiar with, you know, and that was my graduation. And these days, Pro Wrestling 101 is just giving a lot of participation awards. And Brian Rage is the main suspect of that.
I get you. Okay. Um, Of course, it was kind of a shock to all of us to see that happen. Before I go any further with this, I do got to look over here at the chat for just a second. I want to say what's up to Rick in the chat, J Reb, Adward96 coming to us from Sweden. Wow! Thank you so much for joining us tonight. That's awesome. It's that's crazy to have somebody coming in from Sweden. We appreciate you joining us. Seeing the two of you fall out the way you did, of course, you're talking about he was able to get gold. That set up a match where it was you and him, and you were able to get the gold that he had. What was your headspace there?
It's just something I had to take from him. He had something that I wanted, I had been wanting, something that he had promised me if I joined him. I was already, I wouldn't call it a veteran of Pro Wrestling 101 because I'll just go back to being humble as I am. You never stop learning. So the fact that we were both in that, institution of learning, I saw him take people under his wing, give them more attention. And at the same time, I'm like, I'm your tag partner here. But going back to the match, it's just something I had to rip away from him. And I had to do it in any way I could. And it's only serendipitous that his number one student is the one that cost him the title. But I was just that much smarter.
Well, it does kind of have that student becomes the teacher feel to it. It's interesting that you say that he started paying more attention to other students, things like that, because at the last Squared Circle Pro show, you were to defend your title against his, I believe he's been named captain of Lubbock Pro Wrestling 101, Eluvio. Of course, with your injury, you had to relinquish the belt. I can't imagine how that felt. That's got to be rough.
It stung. It really did. Not being able to face Captain Crunch. It's just the fact that I couldn't kick his butt. I couldn't whoop his ass like I wanted to. And the fact that he was just sitting there salivating on the fact that, he thought he had a free title that was going to be given to him, but in the end, he had to earn it, just like I did.
And with that, Rick, never the one to let a title go without being earned, set up a match between Eluvio, Ryan Riven. Eluvio coming up short in that one. Ryan Riven becoming the new Squared Circle Pro Heck Yeah Radio iPay-per-view champion. It was what happened after that was what I'd like to talk about now. You guys, you and Eluvio kind of got into it.
Oh, that was going to happen eventually. Olivio was he was part of our team at one point. He helped us on a few matches, and we were successful. But I saw the ego growing in this Native American that claims to be all about the people, all about his land, but all I see is a fraud. The guy owns casinos, and he takes your hard-earned money, Mikey's hard-earned money, and there's nothing, there's no risk, there's no reasoning by it. It's just I can see right through the facade that is Ilio Vio and Brian Rage Rivera.
Well, and towards the end of you and Eluvio getting into it, Brian Rage Rivera comes seemingly out of nowhere and comes after you with a steel chair. While you're on crutches, mind you. I was a little bit shocked by that. I run us through it. Like, I can't even imagine the headspace of having your partner, one-time partner, coming at you with a steel chair while you're on crutches.
You said it yourself, Guapo. It was while I was on crutches. And when I gave him the beating, I did it. He saw it coming. He wasn't on crutches. But of course, he attacked me. He had to save his babies from Big Bad Baby Samoa. So the fact that he had to use a steel chair with me on crutches, it just shows that he's just one of the biggest bullies in SCP. For somebody who's, has been one of the I guess you want to call it luchadors slash high flyers. He's a bully, and he showed it that night by attacking me and me trying to run away and trying to seek safety. He chased me. He kicked me. He pushed me down just like a bully would do. Somebody who's, on one foot, and he seeked the adulation of the crowd. So he's a bully.
I definitely see where you'd pull that from that. Now, because that happened, Rick set up a match for March 22nd against you and a partner of your choosing versus Brian Rage Rivera and Aluvio, with the one stipulation being you have to be medically cleared. Now, we talked a little bit about how the rehab's going. March 22nd, not that far away. Do you think you're going to be good for that one?
I'm on course to be 100% for that show, which will be bad news for Brian and Elio Vio. Now, partner of my choosing, who knows who it could be? It could be somebody that's somebody off the indies. It could be somebody that we see on television. You never know. It can be anybody. Or it could just be yours truly in a handicap match. I've never been one to stray from a fight, whether it's 2-on-1, 3-on-1. I've taken my licks. It just seems like when I take licks, it wakes the savage up that I try to keep dormant. So you're not talking to a savage now. You're talking to a respectful, upstanding Samoa.
And I'm happy for that because I've seen you angry, and that ain't me, bro. I ain't trying to be a part of that.
I got a question for you.
What you got, Mike?
So you got the tag match on March 22nd. Let's fast forward past that. What's next?
Well, I want my gold back. Gold that I was never pinned for. Ryan Riven, he's a good champion, good tough guy, and I'm sure he'll carry the belt very well. He'll keep it nice and shiny for me. But on that subject, he can't get too comfortable with it, because at any moment I can strike. Now, if I can get past the pest that is Brian Rage Rivera and his little tonto buddy Elio Vio, then yes, gold is in my future. Gold is in my tunnel vision.
I like the sound of that. I really do. Because I myself have had to relinquish titles because of injury, and it's not a great feeling at all. And so I know the feeling, and I know the hunger, the drive, and everything else that you have. And I really hope that one day soon you have that Heck Yeah Radio iPay-per-view championship back in your hands.
That's the plan.
Now, I do have to ask a question. Got to play devil's advocate for just a minute. Of course, I keep a close eye on socials and things of that nature. There was a video that came out. Looked like it might have been Jake's security cameras, maybe. I'm not sure. Showed you in a conversation with one Damian Matrix. Is there anything we can talk about in that, or?
Well, I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. I mean, we can't do anything these days without cameras, right? Cameras are everywhere. So the conversation with Damien and I, that was how can I say it? That was me opening his eyes, hopefully, to what I've been saying this whole time about Pro Wrestling 101 and about the coaches. That in the end, they have a selfish motive. And unfortunately, we're the pawns that they move around so they can get what they want. And whether he listens to me or not, that's totally up to him. He's his own man. And going back to Damien, he's got potential unlimited. So it's only up to him on how high he wants to go and what he wants to do with the advice and warning that I give him.
Damien, of course, one of the most recent graduates of Lubbock Pro Wrestling 101. So giving him the advice from somebody who's been there, it'll be interesting to see how he does take that advice and where that goes. Looking over at the chat, our moderator letting everybody know that 5 more followers and we get to see me in the ring again. I don't know if you've heard about this. We have a thing. Once we hit certain marks on our followers, then I get in the ring and do stupid stuff. One of them being our very first one was actually taking a chop to the chest from Brian Rage Rivera. The next one was kind of a little scuffle with Charlie 50, and we're going to do a poll once we hit 5 more followers. I'll either take a shot to the chest from Big Ced from the Guerrilla Militia. One of the things I was going to do, I'm not sure I can because I'm not sure he's going to be available. It was going to be a spine buster from Phoenix or a lariat from Damon McCullough. And I'm seeing this twinkle in your eye, and I'm hoping you're not getting any ideas there because that's a little scary.
Well, I do need a partner.
Oh hell! Well, that I would almost say that would be almost like you being in a handicap match because I'm just the mouth guy and I talk. I don't know. That could be fun.
It would be a shocker.
I think we need more followers for that.
You think we need more followers for that one? Well, I will say that I am looking forward to see how this turns out between you and Brian Alluvio. And I, for one, do hope to see gold back around your waist and very soon. Like I'm all for titles changing hands, but I do like it to be in, if you're going to lose the belt, you need to be pinned for the belt. So
I agree.
So I do want to see you get the opportunity to get that belt back. As far as what Mike was saying, like, what's on the horizon, we always ask a couple of questions of anybody first time they're on their show. So I'm going to throw them out to you. It's a 3-part question. The first one being, in the short term, say the next year, who would you like to see yourself going up against? Who's somebody you'd like to be in the ring with in the next year?
That's a good question. There's a lot of monsters out there that have recently come through SCP. I wouldn't mind testing my iron against, people like Brickhouse, people like Stackhouse, maybe even Damo. In general, just really anybody who has the SCP belt by the time that year comes around would be a great challenge.
I can definitely see you in the mix for the heavyweight title. The second part of this question goes out a little further. 5 years from now, where do you see yourself?
Well, 5 years from now, if you haven't already noticed, this little movement right here, tribal prints, if you notice, my tribe extends beyond the ring. if you haven't already noticed.
Oh, I have.
And those gentlemen are somebody or people that have really brought a lot of noise to SCP even before I arrived. And they have adopted me as their tribal prince. They acknowledge me as their tribal prince. Hell, they even gave me an Ulafala that's hanging right here behind me. So, that being said, there's a movement coming, and it's gonna make some noise throughout SCP that Rick won't be able to ignore, and it's only gonna get bigger. And yes, you have your bloodlines on television, you have your factions on AEW and so forth. But this is going to be something you'll see coming. But when it hits, you're going to believe you won't believe how it happened and how it got here and the monster that it became. Um, on top of that, 5 years, you're going to see me as a king.
I like it. I like the confidence there. Last part of this question: dream match. Anybody, anytime, anywhere from any promotion, from TV all the way down to indie. What would your dream match be?
Zilla Fatu.
I would pay damn good money to see that too. Oh, that'd be a hell of a match.
Yeah, that'd
Mr.
be a
Mike.
great match.
No, I would pay good money to see you and Zilla go at it. That I'm not even sure we could call that a match. That would be a fight.
Yeah, it would be a fight. It would be definitely a fight, but it would be a match that, you know, just a lot of meat slapping, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean that in a
No
PG
kidding.
way. PG way. I mean that in a PG way.
Yeah, family show, PG.
Yes.
Well, that's a match I would love to see, and we've got it out there in the ether now. Maybe Book's listening right now. We can make that happen on a grand stage. Like I'd be all for that. That being said, glad you bring that up. We're gonna move into our next segment, which is gonna be our main event moments. We'll go through some of the things that have happened on WWE's main roster, and feel free to jump in and talk about them. Before we do, I do want to remind everybody: if you're watching, if you're listening, if you like what you see, you like what you hear, please go through to the socials, click all the things, click the likes, click the follows, click the subscribes, the bells, the whistles, click all the things. It helps us out. It lets us know who's watching our content and what we can do to make it better for you. So if you haven't done it already, go through and click all the things. Now that I got the shameless plug out of the way, let's get into some main event moments. SmackDown, before we went into the Royal Rumble, the Punk and KO thing was really, really good. Their interaction at the beginning of SmackDown was good. My favorite part of that was CM Punk saying, at least I've never lost to Logan Paul." And remember that he said that. Just hold on to that till we get to the end of the show. Remember that he said, "I've never lost to Logan Paul." They are doing a good job, in my opinion, from a storytelling standpoint, of really building out all of these different potential feuds. Like, I believe right now that there's at least 4 different feuds we could see Kevin Owens going into. And another one that got started on Raw that I wasn't expecting. So, as somebody in the business, what is your opinion of the storytelling that's going on in WWE right now?
I think it's the hottest it's ever been. It kind of brings back memories of my childhood when your eyes were glued to the television. You didn't know what was going to come up next. You there was no streaming back then. There was no, let's record it and rewind it and watch it later. You were vested in these characters, and uh, Triple H has brought that magic back. So
He has, in fact. And Mike, from the promoter's side of it, where are you at on it?
I am really trying not to look at it at a promoter standpoint. I want to look at it as a fan. I want to be able to enjoy it and not try to pick things apart all the time. You
I
know,
get that.
I do naturally because I've been doing that for the last 25 years. But still, I like to be able to pull myself out of that point and becoming a fan and be in that outlook of it, enjoy what's happening instead of looking looking for the things that go wrong.
I will say the way Triple H books things, it does make it a lot easier to do than it has been in the past. That's for sure.
I can agree with that.
Next, we have Big Jim and Mello. The more you put these two guys together, the more comfortable they get with each other, the better their chemistry gets. I really enjoy watching Jimmy Uso and Carmelo Hayes anytime they get in the ring together.
yeah, I think it's a match that, or it's a little small feud that I think they both need.
Mhm.
Melo is an up and coming superstar, young. Sky's the limit. Jimmy Uso he's been there a good minute, and
Yeah,
he's faced them all. You know, whether it to be through tag team action or singles. But yeah, it's a great feud, and I think it elevates both competitors.
absolutely. Speaking of elevation, this when I say this, it's going to sound smartass, but I sincerely mean what I'm about to say. Mishin versus Chelsea Green is just as good Friday as it was 3 matches ago. The first time they went against each other, and it's hard to do that. It's hard to have a series of matches with somebody and number 4 be just as good as number 1 was. So my hats off to both those ladies for an amazing job.
Well, what you're seeing is what happens when you take the handcuffs off
Yeah,
and you actually let two competitors that have shined in other promotions, whether it be indie or major, and now we the fans are getting the treat of it. So
definitely are. Mike, what do you think about the match?
Oh, I just love the chemistry between these two. Um, they have something special,
Mhm.
and it definitely shows every time they get in the ring together. And the communication, the communication factors, and everything else, it looks like they're not missing a beat.
They definitely the chemistry between them has gotten that good that they don't they may be calling a couple of things in the match, but for the most part, I don't even think they have to call. They kind of know exactly what's going to happen, and you don't see enough of that. And I enjoy it every time I see it. Chelsea Green could sell an entire match with just her face, just her facial expressions.
I
Oh, the
agree.
body language, the facial expressions, everything else that she has. She is so good, and I'm really happy that we have her as the longest reigning female United States champion in
The
existence.
prettiest.
That's
Oh,
right, the
that as
prettiest.
well.
That that I see that feud continuing on, and it's saying just as good. Now the 8-man tag we had, that was just a little bit unexpected. I guess is the word to use. I mean, you're putting teams who don't like each other together. What could possibly go wrong, right?
Turmoil.
I mean, it did a good job of building for the match at the Rumble, but you take what was it? It was Los Garzas and uh, Pretty Deadly. No, Los Garzas and Motor City Machine Guns, and Pretty Deadly and DIY. And Pretty Deadly just they're out because you get kicked off the thing. They're leaving. DIY able to pull it off, but it was, I don't know, that it felt odd, clunky. I'm not sure what the right word is there.
Well, for being honest, just I don't want to stray away from SmackDown, but it's just they I just really have not been a fan of the Motor City Machine Guns. Um, they, I can see the excitement. I personally, I thought they did better in TNA. Um, but as far as like the that 8-man tag team match, it was a little bit of a yawner for me.
It seemed disjointed. So I mean, I get what you're saying. I personally, I didn't get the opportunity to see the guns in TNA. So my first real experience with them has been in WWE, and I've enjoyed it. Like I like their quick move, 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 move. You know, I enjoy that personally, but the whole thing seemed a little disjointed to me. Like I
Yeah,
said,
not taking away from their athleticism. I mean, they're in WWE for a reason. So everybody is has got the credentials. It's just, as a fan, it's just, to me it was just a bit of a yawner. It's, I mean, just a lot to try to follow, I guess, if you want to say that.
I get you. From there, we had Naomi and Liv. That match got good pops. I mean, it was the perfect. The face wins, the heel attacks afterwards. I'll see you at the PLE kind of match. Like it was a good builder.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Naomi has been just she's been a constant in some way, in all her matches. She's always brought the excitement, the athleticism, and then Liv Morgan, is really coming into her own as a great heel, and is really, making these matches actually, have some some, I guess we're gonna call it raw emotion, I guess.
Get that, Mike? What do you got?
I think the world to Liv Morgan. She is a heat machine, and she does really good at what she does.
Oh, absolutely. And Naomi with the pedigree that she has, and Liv. I'll put it like this: we haven't got to talking about Raw yet, but take Liv on SmackDown, take Liv in the Rumble, take Liv on Raw. Just that little stretch right there. Look at her now and compare her to Liv Morgan 1 year ago, and there's so much growth there. So to put the two of them in the ring together is you're guaranteed a good match.
Yeah, absolutely. The
After that, we had Miz and Andrade. That was probably my favorite match of the night. Andrade is so smooth in every one of his moves, and you put him with a pro like Miz, it's almost a dance at that point. And it made for really, really good wrestling.
Yeah, Miz is I mean, in my opinion, he's up there with the Randy Ortons, and I'll even say the John Cenas.
Yeah.
I mean, the man's been in the game for a while, and he's just like what Mister Mikey said here. He too is a heat machine. Andrade, I had the pleasure of meeting him at an airport while traveling for work, and he's let's just put it this way: my hand is a fat hand, and when I went to knuckle bump him, his hand was that much wider than mine.
Oh wow.
And so I can only imagine. I can only imagine his, you know, getting hit by that gentleman. And I guarantee, and I'll tell you, his matches, you hear the pops
Oh yeah.
every time. So
That's a man. That's a big old hand.
oh yeah,
That's crazy. Our Truth and Priest meeting back up. I loved it. Our Truth is a national treasure. I will say that until I'm blue in the face. I enjoy Our Truth, and him and Damian Priest. You put them together, and it's just comedy gold.
Oh yeah, it's a treat trying to watch Damian Priest not break character when he's around our truth, and and that goes for all wrestlers who work with our truth. Our truth is just right now. You can put him in anything, any segment, any match, and he's gonna draw some cheers, some laughs, some uh, just he'll have Twitter going crazy or excuse X going crazy.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, you're right. He is a national treasure.
See, Rick? See?
Okay, the the deal with I can't it's my placement is not where it needs to be, but there was somebody else that came into the segment whenever him and Priest were actually talking in the back, and uh he was trying to tell everybody that this was Raw, and
Mhm.
everybody else was like, no, this is SmackDown, and Priest was like, no, 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 just don't even waste your breath.
Oh yeah, it was LA Knight. LA Knight came to ask Damian Priest, I just want to make sure you're ready for this. And he's like, it's raw. And LA Knight started to say something, and Damian's like, no, no, no. Trust me. Let's just go.
It was you, Mikey. You didn't remember?
Nah, I've been hitting Ed too much. I don't remember that kind of thing.
Which does bring us to that next match, which was LA Knight and Priest versus Tamatanga and Jacob Fatu. That man is just a certified beast, Jacob Fatu.
Well, you notice I didn't put
Absolutely.
him down as a sorry. You notice I didn't put him down as a dream match.
No, I can't say I blame you there.
Don't want that smoke.
No.
No. Mm-mm. Anybody that can take the shots that he takes and just get up and scream at you, yeah, no, I'm good.
Oh yeah.
What about his mic work? Oh my god, this guy. I mean, I realized that the old regime had their questions about him because they didn't because of the fact that he does have a criminal record. Uh, they didn't want to use him, but my God, the talent that guy has. He
Oh
can
yeah,
talk. He can fight. He can basically control the crowd doing whatever he wants them to do. And that's kind of what you've got to do in there is to get over is to be able to be that be that moldable peg and go into anything that you need to go into.
well, and to kind of steal a line that you used, Samoa, they took the handcuffs off of him and allowed him to say more than "I love you" solo. And once they did let him start talking on the mic, man, it's good. It's on point every time.
I agree, and it's just a prime example of what happens when you know you allow somebody to run, and I mean everything that comes out of that man's mouth it's organic. I mean it's not scripted. It's freestyle. I like to think that I pride myself in doing the same thing when I do promos. Uh, but everything with Jacob is organic, and the the reception, the crowd, the way the reaction, it's all organic, and that's very rare.
It is. That's one of the things that drew me to LA Knight before Jacob Fatu was LA Knight came in, and while it's changed now, and everybody likes him for the reasons they like him. There for a little while, it was being crammed down our throats. Roman Reigns is the best, and you're gonna like it. Whereas LA Knight came through, and all of his pops and the crowd behind him, it was organic. He did that. It wasn't something that they pushed out on everybody. It was organic, and I feel the same way about honestly Jacob and Tomatonga.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
Jake,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, those. I've always been a fan of Tama Tonga. I watched his work, him and his brother's work in New Japan, and I was talk about ecstatic when I saw his debut, and then when his brother showed up, and his the whole botch mania thing with his brother. I totally do. My heart totally. I mean, it from my heart. I totally believe that that is a work, and that's Triple H just being a genius to say, you know what, let's play with these people, and let's get the chatter going. But going back to the match, Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu, that's that's a team to reckon with right there, and
Mhm.
that son and Tonga Kid's son, and then you had Damian Priest, who he himself has a background from the streets, and LA Knight is no pushover, so it was a great match. It was a hard hitting match
It
as
was a very
expected.
physical match all the way through it, and it took both Knight and Priest beating down Jacob Fatu to the point that LA Knight put him through the timekeepers area to get just enough time for Damian Priest to get the South of Heaven in the pin. And then Jacob's right back in the ring. So like
He
it's
doesn't stay down for long.
it was wild. It was a great way to finish the show. I was really happy with it. Um, and it did a good job of building everything up for what happened on Saturday, which was the Royal Rumble. Um, just to hit some of the highlights on that, the little stats tracker at the bottom. That's a new thing, and I dug that. I thought that was cool. It showed how many people are in the ring, how many people have been eliminated, what number's next. I thought that was kind of cool. The women's rumble was top notch, no question about that. I enjoyed everything. Well, let me get to the part I enjoyed. Alexa Bliss is back, and I can't be any happier about it. That was the big thing for me. Is 5 Foot of Fury is back.
Yeah,
And she's friends forever.
Yeah, fiend for friends. That's right.
yeah, that was a real cool jacket. And the before Alexa Bliss came out, I mean, in my opinion, and we spoke about it earlier. Chelsea Green stole the show in my opinion. She was stealing the show until the surprises started coming out.
No, I can definitely agree with that. I will say I was really, really impressed with Roxanne Perez. Like the prodigy came out there and just brought it.
Yeah, Laredo, Texas. That's
Yep.
that's a product of Booker T right there, and yeah, it was really cool that WWE gave her her shot to shine, and it showed. So don't be surprised if we see her on the main roster pretty soon.
I would be shocked if we didn't. And talking about Roxanne Perez, it was really good to see how well NXT was represented in the Rumble. Because you had Roxanne Perez, you had Julia, you had Stephanie Vaquer, you had Jada Parker. Like they were in it, the NXT women's division was very well represented in this Rumble.
Very much so.
We had that moment too where, um, well, Lash Legend was in there as well. And I want to say it was Jada Parker, Lash Legend, Bianca Belair, and Naomi just all got face to face, and I thought that was pretty cool. And being the person that she is, Chelsea Green walks into the middle of that and just gets laid out. It was great. I laughed.
So Steeler.
Yep, every time. Um, so was it a trip to anybody else to see pyro in the middle of a Rumble match?
Yes, that was uh, being being someone who's been in the ring before. I've never actually had pyro or anything else, but whenever you're doing things, it's you get different elements of distractions with music and so on and so forth that happen whenever you're really uh, not expecting it. But to have that pyro, I'm sure it could probably produce some very distracting moments while in the ring.
So I'm looking over at the chat, and we got Johnny James says Adam Charles, Anthony Gomez, Armando Lozada, Mark Gaza, Fabian Coronado, Jamie Chavarria, Michael Bordello, Victoria Rivas. Tribal Trouble in the house.
Like I said, baby.
That movement making its way onto the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling podcast. I'm here for it. I dig it. Guys,
Bring the
welcome to the show.
Absolutely.
So of course Charlotte won, and there's people who are happy about it. There's people who are not happy about it. You had to know that was coming. But I think that it sets up some good possibilities. Having she can go against Rhea in a rubber match. She can go against Tiffany. I think that would be cool. And we haven't got to Raw yet, but I like the fact that she even threw out there, I'm going to go to NXT and see if Julia can keep me interested. Like throwing it out there that I might choose the NXT champion and giving it that validity. I think that was really cool too.
Yeah, she's box office, and it's the fact that she's back. Really, like you said, there's just endless possibilities as far as matches that would really bring the house down.
Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting to see which direction she goes with that. The 2 out of 3 falls for the tag team championship, I'm not gonna lie, felt like kind of a breather match. Give everybody a chance to catch their breath after the women's rumble, which is kind of a shame because I like both teams. I like DIY. I like Motor City Machine Guns. So it's a tough place. I don't care who the tag teams are. Right after a rumble match is a tough place to be.
Oh, absolutely.
it's a hard thing to follow.
For sure. But man, the finish to that first fall of that tag team match was absolute tag team gold. I'm a huge fan of tag team wrestling, always have been, always will be. And I love the fact that DIY knows how to generate that heat and using the referee to their advantage and making everything happen the way they made it happen. That way, whenever you get that tag from the baby faces, you finally get that big pop. But once it happened, they did the fake tag, ended up switching in, getting the distraction, and then boom, that first fall was over just like that. And I think that was actually the fall of that entire match for me. I liked how everything worked for it.
I agree. It was really, really good. It's not something you see every day. The fake tag. It was a good match. I mean, DIY retained, and I see that continuing on for a while. That took us to the ladder match, and I ain't gonna lie, I was pretty sure by the end of that match that Cody had killed Kevin Owens. Like I literally had a JR Mankind off the top of Hell in a Cell moment. Oh my God, they've killed him.
The Jim Cornette and Mick Foley. Oh my God, I think Cactus Jack is dead.
That Alabama Slam was nasty.
And just he folded smooth up in that ladder and fell head first. And I think Sammy pulled off even if it was a work, he pulled it off that he was completely concerned with that whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised it even got that far. I thought they were dead before. When Kevin Owens did that modified suplex off the top rope onto the ladder, you could see both Cody and KO's neck hit the corner, the edge corner of those ladders. And I mean, come on, you weigh that much, and the velocity coming down on your neck like that, it's a miracle those guys didn't snap their necks.
The math just doesn't math right there.
No, it was wild, and I'm looking over at the chat. Uh, Anthony Gomez giving the symbol.
Anthony
Uh,
G.
Johnny James saying that match stole the show, the Kevin Owens and Cody, and I agree with that. However, let us not pretend that the real star of that show wasn't the small ladder. That little baby ladder was the star of that match right there. I
That wasn't
laughed
a
so
real
much
ladder.
at that.
The Hornswoggle ladder.
That's right. It was a Hornswoggle ladder. I dug it. I thought it was great that they continued, like they did their spot with it, and then they just kept continuing going back to it. I thought it was good. Both these guys sold this off really, really well. Cody retained, and I almost feel like you're getting that I'm tired of being all smiles kind of Cody. Like I feel like we're getting the all right, y'all are gonna have to chill kind of Cody. And that's that transition phase between good guy Cody and heel Cody. I feel like we're in that transition.
Well, Cody does have a gray area. You know, that's one of the reasons why he has the whole Homelander outfit and everything else is, you know, he's going to think he's the good guy no matter if he is the good guy or the bad guy. So, but the edge that he had, that he showed, that next gear, if you will, that
It was something else.
you know, you mess with you mess with me, you mess with mine, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get it back.
Yeah, I see Cody doing something very, very maniacal in the near future down the road. That's just me, speculating, being the wrestling fan that I am. There's so many scenarios that I can pick up from Easter eggs just by watching either the SmackDown or even in SummerSlam that I usually pick up and I start to speculate, with not only Cody but Bloodline and so forth. Just little stuff like that. But yeah, Cody, remember that was Stardust.
I wanted so bad, and I said this during the watch along. I wanted so bad for Kevin Owens to come out, step out, his music play, and they start the camera shot at his feet, and they show he's got his signature shorts on, come up to a fight Owens fight shirt, get up, to a full body shot, and him have Stardust paint on his face. I would have popped so damn hard.
I'm
You can't
surprised he
throw
didn't have
nobody
polka
harder
dots
than
on.
that. Say that again.
I'm surprised he didn't have polka dots on.
Right. Johnny James in the chat saying Taker said when Cody goes heel, it's going to get crazy. And I see the transition being eased in little by little. The little heel stuff he did in the match with Cody where Shade's coming. I agree. They're not just we're going to turn him bad. It's a very slow transition if that's what they're doing, and I'm here for it. I think it's a great idea. That takes us to the men's rumble. Is it just me, or did that one seem to move a lot faster than the women's did?
Oh, for sure. It was like one after another after another after another, but they kept everything moving. They kept it exciting. They kept things fresh, and that's one of the things. I'm not going to say that the women's match didn't do, but there were a lot more random eliminations and just things out of the blue coming from the men's match that the women's match didn't have. So I think that's one of the reasons why it did move as fast as it did.
I'm just going to go back to the women's match real fast, and then I'm going to leave right out of there. Number 30 was a waste of a pick or a waste of a spot.
I wasn't going to say anything about it, but since you bring it up, I was surprised it was Nikki Bella. I'm not going to lie. I feel like there's other people they could have put in there, but if she's going to make a run for it, then that's one way to get it started.
Yeah. And then I'm done with that. That's old news. But yeah, the men's Royal Rumble was just like Mikey said. It was kind of, it was let's go, let's get it. You still had your spots where you had your, whoa, these two are about to go at it. Maybe, you had all that. You had, your Penta with possible opponents down the line just based on the face-offs,
Hmm.
so forth. That was a little reunion with him and Jacob, uh, and so forth. But yeah, it was overall it was a great men's Royal Rumble.
I enjoyed it, and I like the fact that they started with Ray and Penta. Like I popped big on that. I was happy to see that, and honestly, we got like all of Lucha royalty early on in the Rumble, and I thought that was cool to see. You know, we got Ray, we got Penta, we got Santos
Andrade.
Escobar, we got Andrade.
Andrade.
We got the royalty, which was awesome. Um, got lost in my notes here. AJ Styles, good to see AJ Styles back. Hopefully he didn't get injured. There was talk that he might be, but I think he's going to be all right. And if I read correctly, he's coming to the Red brand. He's going to be on Raw.
This is true.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he always returns in shape. He always returns. He looks great. Uh, I thought he looked good in the Rumble. But I'm like you. I'm glad to see him back.
of course, his name was said. He appeared. Joe Hendry in the Rumble to a huge pop. Thought that was great. I Show Speed. That poor guy. He got his clothes folded. Unfortunately, he was still in them. Braun Breaker. That's just Braun Breaker coming off the ropes into a spear. I would not want to be him.
That was a morsel for the crowd. That was for the crowd right there.
That was
It
the
did
most
have it.
viral moment of the Royal Rumble. Was that
Yeah.
what that was?
It was, and I got to see a video. He was Speed was in the back of a cart. They were wheeling him to the back, and he said, "I'm never coming back to WWE again." It was funny. But when you've got somebody like that, you've got the number one. I think he is the number one YouTube influencer in the world. So you've got him in the match. You've got Logan Paul in the match. Like the eyes outside of just watching on television, the eyes that were on this. There's no better way if you're WWE than to have those two people in there. Punk dumping Roman and Seth was fitting. With everything that's been going on, him being the one to dump Roman and Seth out was fitting. Almost as fitting as Logan Paul being the one to dump Punk. Remember earlier on SmackDown where Punk said, "At least I've never been beaten by Logan Paul"? Yeah, now you have. I thought that was a good circle back moment. And if those three are not in a triple threat at Mania, I don't know what we're doing.
It looks like that's what's going to happen.
Like their ability to play the anger and the hate on that, man, it's going to get wild. And that I can't even call it a double foot curb stomp. That was a coup de grace from Seth Rollins onto Roman Reigns' head, completely unprotected to the ground.
That was all his weight.
Yeah. It was
2 feet. 2 feet.
That was just the thud when you heard Roman hit was just ugh. It was crazy. I like the fact that Cena put Jay over for the win. I think we see a lot of that this year. I think, of course, we're going to see some highlights from Cena. I think he gets number 17. I don't necessarily think it'll be at the Rumble or at Mania, but I think he gets number 17. But I think we see a lot of Cena putting over talent this year for his swan song.
Yeah, he's on his he's on that farewell tour, and This is the time for him to, like they do any other star, that got so much adulation and so many wins and so forth. It's time for him to give back, and this is the year he's doing it.
Agreed. All in all, thought the Rumble was great or incredible, as Triple H said about 72 times in his post post show conference.
He said
Um,
incredible.
incredible. Like he said it like seriously like 72 times.
So basically, his incredible is like Tony Khan's great.
Oh, Tony Khan. Yeah, kind of. It is 5 stars. Um, so Raw, Raw had a good opening. Jay getting the "You Deserve It" was cool. Uh, I do like Gunther telling him you couldn't lace my boots. Um, I've been a fan of wrestling for a long time, and it goes all the way back to Triple H. And for the life of me, I can't remember who he was going against, but him standing in the ring and telling somebody, you know what, honestly, you couldn't hold my jock. It's that kind of draw the line. What are you going to do about it moment. So I enjoyed seeing that. Uh, Penta versus Kaiser, Ludwig Kaiser. I need more of that. That was a good match.
Good news. We're gonna get more of that.
Oh yeah. You put those two in together and it's just absolutely great. Um, I wasn't expecting Butch. I mean Pete Dunne to come out. It makes for kind of an interesting alliance there to have Ludwig Kaiser and Pete Dunne together. It'll be interesting to see where they go with that. Um, Charlotte getting booed is crazy, though not unexpected. I feel she was ready. She if I get cheers, I'm going to do this. If I get boos, I'm going to do this. Uh, she's that good. She's ready for everything.
I see a similarity right now with both her, as far as the heat goes, with her and Gunther.
Mhm.
They've both become that quintessential, you know, I have all the money in the world. I was raised with a silver spoon in my mouth. And, you know, you're just not better than me just for the fact that your background is different from mine. That's just what I've gathered from, both wrestlers.
No, absolutely. I can pull that vibe off of that. Looking over at the chat, Johnny James saying that Speed got lit up and went big time viral. And a lot of people were mad at Jay winning. They didn't see all the work it took to get there and all the times Jay put over talent. It's a give and take in the business. He has given and taken the losses as well. He's put in the work. Now it's time for the payoff. Long term storytelling. Some fans love that and some hate it. Absolutely. 100%. I've told some of my own friends that are like, "Well, why is Jay gonna win it?" But they were pissed off because John Cena didn't win. It's the story of Jay going from "I'm sorry, which one are you?" to "I'm main eventing WrestleMania." Like you can't that like that's what it's about. It's that story, and I love it. I couldn't be happier.
It's a perfect example of another talent that just, if you remember Jay from when he made his Rumble debut with the long hair and the paint, he got no pop. And then now today, everything that he's the main event Jey Uso thing has just made him. It's another example of an organic, not shoved in your face type of top guy that it
Mhm.
just it just happened organically.
One of the things that I was ready to pop, but had to do some research, found out it wasn't right. Um, New Day comes out to new music, and they put a graphic at the bottom said that it was the new song and it was by Jim Johnson. I nearly popped for that. I've always been a big Jim Johnson fan. Of course, Jim Johnson's done the Undertaker's music, Stone Cold, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. Like he's done all this great music, but he no longer works for WWE. Unfortunately, that was a misprint. That wasn't supposed to go up. He has nothing to do with the music, but it had me wondering for a minute. Um, Liv versus Io. I thought that was a great match. A lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was great.
Io just brings the strong style from Japan, and it never changes. Yeah, all her hits are just there's nice, snug, stiff. Um, Everything about that match, especially with Liv's heat, Liv gives it right back,
Mhm.
and it's just it's. I thought it was a great match.
Absolutely. We've got Rick in the chat saying, watching the online discourse on days and weeks after major PLEs always makes me laugh. And then those who think they know how wrestling works yet prove with every post that they do not. And that's very true. Eska 1981 saying, I'm bummed we don't get to see her do the trash can jump off the cage. It's got, we're not going to go this year and not see that. It's got to happen, man. That's signature EO Sky at this point.
Genius of the Sky.
That's right. Seth Rollins. He did a great job of firing up Sami Zayn. Like, I enjoyed his promo, but his outfit. Like, I found myself singing, where in the world is Kobe San Diego? Like, I could not with that outfit. Like, that's Timo Undertaker vibes.
I was thinking more along the lines of Rob Zombie, but
Yeah. He looked as though perhaps he had dug through some ditches.
yeah,
Maybe we'll see the Architect again.
That's kind of what I hope. Johnny James in the chat saying Liv versus Io was fire. They've come a long way. Proud of them. I agree, man. I agree wholeheartedly. That takes us to the final match of Raw. That was Punk versus Zayn. That match could have been a PLE main event in any show.
agreed.
It was that good.
The story was there. The match was not 5,000 miles an hour. It had time to breathe. They both sold. It I mean, I'm sure that other guys with the last name Meltzer might not agree with that, but really and truly that was wrestling.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think it was the perfect ending, although it wasn't quite the ending because Kevin Owens comes out, hits the package pile driver on Sami Zayn, leaves him laying.
That feud right there, of course, has been going on since the Indies.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong; their matches are fire. But just me from a fan standpoint, um, I think they're just dipping into that well a little too much, in my opinion. But
I get that.
I'm not the booker.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a solid, this is it, end of the line, KO versus Sammy at Mania. Like, I would be all right with that. But it would have to be that. It would have to be this is it.
Making a TLC match.
There you go. Adam Charles in the.
No more ladders. No more ladders for Kevin Owens.
That's true. No more ladders for Kevin Owens. Adam Charles in the chat saying Punk is just a master of in-ring storytelling. I couldn't agree more. He's good at what he does. I think it made for a great Raw, and I think anytime you can get Punk out there doing what he does best, the story's going to be there.
This may stray away from what we're talking about a little bit, but I mean it has a lot to do with Punk. I really love what WWE has done with Punk. I think they've done a great job of sticking him in the right situations where he doesn't have a chance to botch or get hurt, recklessly. And they put him in strategic segments and matches that just, I mean, it's really making him look really, really, really good.
I agree. I agree completely. I really enjoyed Raw. Thought it was great, but that leads us to the last segment of the night, and we've actually got a graphic for it and everything now. If the guys got that queued up, it is time for Notes from the Clown Show. So, what do you do when you have the hottest angle in your company's history? Of course, I'm talking about Timeless Tony Storm. She's done her thing. It was awesome. Loved every minute of it. How do you follow that up? You have Mariah May, no sell it, move on. This is why we call it the Clown Show, because Tony Khan is a clown. I can't, like, how do you not build off of that? It drives me crazy.
I'm right there with you. It's I you're on a you I feel like anytime watching AEW, you're on a treasure hunt because you know there are those good things out there, but you're gonna have to uncover a lot of dirt to find something that's gonna be worth it.
Very true. Very, very true. In some other news, the Ass Boys are, excuse me, the Guns are back, and they're going to get put right back on the shelf by the Hurt Syndicate. And not exactly who I would put them up against on their first match back.
I'm glad Shelton Benjamin and those guys are getting some, their shine and their flowers. But yeah, I agree. Ass Boys are just they're just going to be a stepping stone for Hurt Syndicate.
Oh yeah, no question.
The Hurt Syndicate right now are the only stars on that program.
I can go with that.
True stars.
Also, old Cope, not Edge, not Adam Copeland, old Cope is after Mox, made it official, and now so is Jay White. So what are we going to do when you got Cope and Jay White and John Moxley in the ring together?
I have no idea.
Jay White's going to have to carry the match.
100%, because while I've got just stepping outside of the clown show idea for a second, I've got all the respect in the world for Adam Copeland, for everything he's done in wrestling, but I don't know what he's doing now. Like, rated FTR is like his new Judgment Day, and it's not working. I don't know. I don't like it. I can say there was one thing that came out of the clown show that I really, really enjoyed, and it was the least clowny thing in the clown show, and that was Dustin Rhodes and MJF. Dustin Rhodes dressed MJF up and down on that mic, and I was here for it. I thought it was great.
I agree. You sent me that segment earlier, and I watched it, and other than the fact that we had some random guys just kind of run in and out, you had Max Caster and you had Adam Page. Just kind of it was kind of a Monty Python thing that they just kind of passed through and kind of interacted as they went, and it was kind of that puzzle piece that you found on the floor, but it didn't even go to that puzzle.
Nope, I agree with that. And I don't know if you had the opportunity to see it some more, but like Dustin Rhodes laid it on him. Look, you want to talk about people who have had drug and alcohol problems? I'm 16 years sober. I'm 16 years clean, and I've been through hell, and you are not the devil, boy. Like, I mean, he was putting it on him. And so MJF is like MJF decided to talk about his daddy, which was never smart to bring up Dusty in front of Dustin. and then say you live in the shadow of your brother. And then MJF couldn't talk because he had a mouthful of Dustin Rhodes' fist.
Usually what happens when you got two people that are fire on the mic. I've always been a fan of MGF's mic work, and also too, just just real quick, small snippet of his wrestling. Yeah, he's one that does not have to do high spots to tell a story. And but yeah, going back to that promo, Dustin's one of the best, and he's a Rhodes, so you're gonna
Through and
have
through.
you're gonna have your work cut out for you on the mic with him.
No, I agree. And we got Rick saying AEW has a real identity problem. It's like a multiple personality disorder come to life. I never know what I'm watching or why it's happening. True, very true. Johnny James says Dustin smacked the hell out of MJF and cut a good promo on him. It was a damn good promo, and they don't let Dustin do that enough, in my opinion. I think he's second only to MJF on mic skills. Like the man knows what he's doing, and they need to turn him loose with that microphone. But with that, that brings us notes from the clown show. I will end it as I always do. Tony Khan, you and your little friend Dave Meltzer are clowns. Fix it.
You can't fix it because apparently they think it's not broken.
That's what happens when you have a billionaire who's a mark.
True, very true.
Average mark.
An average mark. That's right. I'll say this: all the trash talk I do about AEW, I want to see AEW flourish. I want to see them do well because when they do well, it makes WWE do better. It makes independents do better. It raises the value of wrestling in general. That kind of competition spurs that on. So I want to see them do well. They're just not doing it right now.
Absolutely. We don't want anybody in the wrestling business to, I mean, all right, let's put it from a different perspective. There are some people that do like what is getting produced out on AEW. I don't happen to personally know any of them.
They're all
But
in Japan.
there are those people out there, and good for them. If that's what makes you happy and that's what draws you to wrestling, good, because we want people to go and watch the product. We want all that. I want AEW to succeed. You know, it's just definitely not my cup of tea. It's not what I'm after. It's not the wrestling I want.
No, I agree with you.
I sum up AEW just from when I saw it from its infancy to now. They were all about the whoa moments. Oh, look who just made their debut. Whoa. Oh, here comes Brian Danielson. Whoa, here comes oh man, Mr. Undisputed, Adam Cole. Whoa, it was just a lot of whoa moments. Even going back to when during the COVID, Matt Hardy shows up. Whoa, I mean, it was just they base a lot of their success on these whoa moments, and a lot of these guys either unless they're really really good, they can continue that momentum from that whoa moment, and then you have some that just fizzle out.
That was their
after
moment.
that happens. Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, I agree with you. Well, we are coming up on the end of the podcast, and as we do each time, I'd like to offer you, maybe Samoa, as a first-time guest on the show, the opportunity to speak to everybody in the chat, speak to everybody watching, everybody listening, to the wrestling world at large. My friend, the floor is yours.
Well, you're going to see a lot of big things from Baby Samoa. Like we said earlier, I do have a small injury. It is getting better, but I'm just scratching the surface. This thing is just it's getting bigger. It's growing. Along with going back to Pro Wrestling 101, I'll go ahead and give it its flowers. We got some guys coming up, and you guys are just you're gonna be just, you know, excited and just amazed on what's gonna come out of that place. I'm one of those that came out of that place, and I'm still growing, and I'm still, going to get better. Um, as far as the tribal prince is it's only going to get bigger. My tribe is getting larger, um, and I like to thank Mr. Guapo here. I like to thank Mike for uh, for the time, and I like to thank all of you who have followed me, who have watched me, whether you booed me, cheered me. Just so you know, I give you everything I have out there. I leave it all out there in the ring, and expect bigger things. And I hope to see y'all at either a BCW show or at a SCP show or at a South Plains Championship Wrestling show.
Well, you can definitely, moving forward from this point, count me in the tribe, man. I'm down. Mike, final thoughts from you?
Really and truly, if you're watching this, which there's a lot of people watching, go out and see wrestling. There is all kinds of stuff going on out there. Find out what you like and go and support it. And I mean, you never know when you're going to be looking at that next big thing that is on the independent level now, that is just about to get to that vaulting point. So go enjoy yourself, escape from reality for a little while. Do your thing.
I like it. Over in the chat, we've got Johnny James saying there's so much coming. Long-term storytelling is going to be the factor here. Don't want to give away too much, but continue to watch. Definitely make the shows. You will not be disappointed. And do that. If you've never checked out West Texas Independent Wrestling, March 8th, we've got BCW Separate Ways. March 22nd, we've got Squared Circle Pro Spring Break, the literal version. You've got 2 chances right there in March. And that's just in this area. I guarantee you, no matter where you are in this great United States, there is independent wrestling within 50 miles of you. Go check it out. You'll be glad you did. It's like a drug for me. I enjoy every minute of it, and I'm looking forward to March. We got big things happening. With that, I want to say, Mike, thank you for being here. And a big thank you to the Tribal Prince, Baby Samoa. Thank you for joining us on the show tonight. We will be back next Thursday. Working on a couple of things. Well, we're probably going to have a special guest next Thursday as well. Until then, I am Guapo. That's Mike Caldwell. He is the Tribal Prince, Baby Samoa, and we're not your average marks. We'll see y'all next Thursday. Yeah.